Hello again. Today I will be making a commentary of the Kagero, the T9 Japanese destroyer. I was actually intending to do this commentary a while ago, but with the release of the Soviet and the German ships, I haven't actually had time. A guy called Genosuke actually requested I make this vid 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I think it was 2 weeks ago, so it's actually taken me a while to get to this point. But anyways, here is finally the Kagero commentary. I don't think I've actually made a Japanese destroyer commentary since I played Mitsuki. Anyways, the Kagero is an amazing ship in a way. Well, it's kind of arguable because it's in some ways it's better than the Fubuki, but in other ways it's less lacking. Ironically, it actually loses a bit of torpedo power compared to the Fubuki that had much faster reload, but I feel that it sometimes performs much better, especially in gunfights. But overall, the Fubuki was a fantastic ship, and the Kagero is still a very good ship. It's by no means a bad ship to play. It's simply, you need to simply be more patient with the torpedoes. That's all there is to it. Now, in this case, I pop the speed boost. Basically, I see all their battleships are heading to the left as they usually do on this map, so I basically want to intercept them with torpedoes. So I can't launch here, and it's not even worth launching it. Basically, don't ever panic launch your torps, like go, this might be good enough. That kind of stuff worked on low tiers, but when you get to this tier, your reload on torps, as you saw, even with I have all the upgrades to reduce the cooldown, and I have a 92-second cooldown on my torpedoes. That's 1.5 minutes. So instead of just panic launching your torpedoes, waiting another 30 seconds to getting that perfect volley is much preferable. In this case, I'm patiently waiting until I think I have a good angle, and that's where I launch it. And of course, I turn away, because this is not a Soviet DD, this is not a US DD. I don't want to be fighting yet. As a Japanese DD, you want to survive as long as possible. Basically, the threat of you being there, especially if you remain undetected, is massive. Everyone has to constantly be on their toes, and especially now when they see this huge wave of torpedoes coming their way, they will know that there's this DD here, and they will be on their toes. They'll be afraid to push up. Basically, you are a force to reckon with as long as you stay alive. Especially in this case, as you can see, we only have 2 ships here, and they have basically half their fleet pushing up. So if it wasn't for you here, you see they're aggressively already pushing down because they see how much they outnumber. But then when the torps come, they suddenly realize, oh shit, we can't just blindly push in, and there's a bit of a herd mentality, a bit of sheep mentality that happens here as well. No one wants to be the first guy to push in, especially into a destroyer. So that's usually what happens when they see someone will get torped. They all kind of shit themselves collectively and start turning away, and no one wants to be that first guy. I ended up landing 3 torps on the Nagata. If you saw the way I launched those torps, by the way, when you get this prediction zone, the white is your prediction zone where it predicts your ships will be. I usually launch a bit to the right and a bit to the left, depending on the distance of course, but usually a bit to the left. Then I launch a bit to the right, and it creates this huge fan-like spread that's very hard to avoid because it covers such a huge... Oh no, please don't, man. Please don't, I'm telling him to please don't make them turn. And he had smoke up, which means he got detected. Oh god. This is, I'm sorry, this is just such a massive pet peeve of mine. He's not launching torpedoes like that when you just charge around the corner and try to shoot at something that's 10 kilometers away. You're not gonna fucking hit them, are you? Like, I don't even know if he can reach that range. He's not gonna achieve anything. The only thing he did achieve was that A, let them know there's a Mayhem, a DD here, and make them all turn away. So basically made that Nagata, which I was hoping to land multiple torps on, now I only landed 1 torp, because, well, this Mayhem made him turn away. He was happily sailing straight, he saw the Mayhem, he turned away. And that's such a pet peeve of mine, like, if you're a US DD and you see a Soviet DD launch his torps, don't run in there guns a-blazing. Like, you're not helping your team, you're just hurting it. But, anyways, there's no point to bitch about it, it happens to everyone. It kinda... Usually some DDs have issues thinking about anything about themselves, so... Oh, somehow I hit the second Nagata, I have no idea how. He must have been asleep or something. I didn't deserve to get those hits. But anyways, what I was saying earlier about the fan spread is you should... I see some people launch one volley and then at one ship, and then launch another volley at another ship much later. And while the idea is admirable, that you will land like you will kill 2 different ships, haha, it rarely happens. Usually there's some small course adjustments, some small speed adjustments, something that changes, so the prediction will be slightly off. As I'm being detected by the plane, so I ping myself and I ping the carrier fighter plane. Hopefully he will understand to send his fighter plane here. Anyways, as you would never launch torpedoes while you're detected, by the way. That's an absolute no-no. As long as you're detected by a plane, if you launch the torpedoes, they will instantly get spotted by the plane. And in this game, if the torpedoes are spotted once, they remain spotted the entire way until they run out. So if I were to launch torpedoes now, they would see them as red dots already from that distance, and they could see them the entire 20 kilometers they travel. So absolutely do not fire, just wait patiently. In this case, I'm sailing towards my own fleet to get their AA, and I'm just holding on to my cooldown. I don't want to waste torpedoes. Why do it? I'm not in a hurry, there's no panic. So just have patience and just sail away. Okay, and as I was saying earlier about the fan spread, it's much better to fire torpedoes in this fan spread than to try to snipe individual ships with different spreads, because you are rarely going to hit all your torps. You will hit a few, but when you fire this huge fan spread, even if your target makes these small adjustments on the way, you'll probably still end up. You basically increase your chances of hitting those few torpedoes. And that's what you want to be doing. You want to increase your chances of getting hits. There are multiple ways to increase your chances. First of all, the angle. You never want to fire straight at the ship, and you never want to fire straight behind the ship. You want to fire... Basically, this is almost the optimal angle, this Nagata is. You want to fire from the side, but slightly from the front, which makes it harder for him to react, because they will reach him faster. This angle is basically the optimal angle to launch the torpedoes at this Nagata. You can see he's hitting towards me, but he's giving me broadside. So that would be the optimal. Now sadly I think he might be turning a bit. I hope not, but it's possible. Yeah, it looks like it's turning, but that's the angle you want to be firing. That's one way to increase your chances of landing hits. The second way to increase your chances is obviously closing the distance. The further away you launch your torps, the more time there is between what your target was expected to do and what he actually did. So the closer you launch your torps, the shorter the distance is, and the more accurate the prediction the game gives you is. Because basically he has less time to maneuver, less time to do stuff. So that's those are the 2 easiest way to increase your chances of getting hits. There are others, of course, like ambushes and such, but that's just another way of getting closer to your target. He turned back. Might actually land some hits, I have no idea. I'm closing the distance, but as I said, because I want more hits. I want to increase my chances of getting hits, and I don't want to continue where the cruiser was going because he's already gaining so much attention. Yeah, it looks like this torps actually might end up being quite perfect. As you can see, I made the huge fan-like spread again, and he was caught in the middle of it. There was no way he could really avoid or maneuver. Now, the Benson is actually detected and fighting someone else, so I drop my speed and I pop an offensive smoke. I'm sure most of you by now should know how to use offensive smokes. I made guides and I've used them in plenty of my vids, so you should be quite aware of how they work. In this case, I'm a bit skeptical about firing the huge fan-like spread on this Colorado, because this time I actually want to be able to save it in case the Benson or someone decides to rush me. But seeing as the Benson is just running away now, I return to the fan-like spread. Basically, when you pop an offensive smoke, you kind of always want to keep that one torpedo salvo as a backup, in case someone decides to push into the smoke. It happens quite often, actually, that people push into your smoke. And when that happens, your guns are not enough to kill them. They might be annoying, they might get you fires, they might bump up your scoreboards, but they don't really kill stuff. And if someone gets close to you and you don't have your torpedoes ready, you are very much dead. Now I want to get out of the smoke since there's nothing for me to shoot at anymore. So I wait about 20 seconds before I start moving. If you aren't aware of it, when you shoot your guns, you get a 20-second debuff. Depending on your ship type, it increases your detection. For destroyers, it increases your detection by roughly 6 kilometers. For cruisers, it increases it by roughly 6 kilometers, and for battleships by roughly 8 kilometers. So in my case, I had a detection of 6.2, but I was within 10 kilometers of some ships, like this Aoba. So I patiently waited the 20 seconds for the debuff to disappear before I moved out of the smoke to avoid being detected. Now he is so low that I want to close the distance and actually use my guns on him. I don't want to waste too many torps on him. Instead, I'm gonna go for the Shokaku and the Colorado, because first of all, the Colorado is an obvious choice, and the Shokaku I go for the sole reason that he got hit by a torp, he turned. This is more of a fail-safe moment actually. I shoot the Aoba. If he continues straight and starts fighting me, and my guns are enough to kill him, then my torps will finish him off. If the Colorado turns and starts fighting me, then he will turn into my torps. So in this case, I basically have two failsafes when I start this fight. Like if everything goes wrong and they turn and fight me, then I have plenty of ways to hurt them even harder if they decide to fight. Now the Aoba got scared from my gunfire. He didn't even want to stay and fight me, because as you can see, the guns do a fair amount of damage. He did decide to fight me, but thanks I have the last stand perk, so this engine damage doesn't even slow me down much. I just keep turning, avoiding, and I wait until it's dead, and now I use my repair. My torps hit the Colorado, and he had to turn away, and he never got to actually fire at me, even though he probably would have wanted to land some shells on me, but he never got the opportunity thanks to the torpedoes. So in that way you can use them as a bit of a zoning tool. Now, seeing as how many people are actually fighting, and as you can see, there's nothing really to detect me except the planes, and the only one who can shoot me is the Colorado, so there's really not much stopping me from actually just opening fire. Even if everything went wrong somehow, I still have my smoke ready now, because as I said, I used the improved smoke. Did I mention it? I think I did, but I used the improved smoke, so it's on a good cooldown. And the torpedoes I launched at the Aoba actually hit the Shokaku and killed him. Now that is why you want 20-kilometer torpedoes, because I'd love to say that this was intentional and planned, but that was just hilariously lucky, nothing else. This guy is mad at me and he calls me a torp spammer. I'm not really certain what to say about that. Apparently you're not allowed to spam torps if you're a Japanese DD. But this game turned out to be quite droll, honestly. I have to troll him a bit. I mean, who even says that? Torp spammer as a Japanese DD? And the sad part is you can't really even spam torps because of the massive cooldowns. You can launch them every 1.5 minutes. But this game is starting to look very much over. I popped my speed boost to try to close him, maybe get some damage, but I doubt I'll be able to get there in time. There's so many people shooting at this Nagata. His HP is just melting. This is one of the points where the range module might come in handy. I don't have the range module, but it's kinda rare that you actually need it. But if you do, well, this would be a nice spot to have it, I guess. And the game is over. My XP is actually not as high as I expected. They've done something with this patch that has somehow fucked up how much XP you get, because as you can see from my damage is 235,000 in a 30-minute 40-second game, so I should be getting a ton more XP actually, but they've done something. This recent patch has somehow fucked it up. Like you get a ton of it. If you cap a zone you get like 800 XP, but if you kill someone you get nowhere near as much XP. They've somehow messed something up. I played a Kiev game earlier where I capped a few points and did only like 130k damage, and I got over 10k XP with bonuses, so it's something weird they have done. But anyways, let's jump over to the upgrade talk. Right, as usual, I will start with the modules. First of all, the base upgrade you want, the first thing you want to get is the hull upgrade. The hull upgrade in itself is quite good. It gives you, as you can see, it gives a ton of upgrades, but most importantly you want it because you want the torpedo upgrade. You want the 20-kilometer upgrades. As you can see, it's a huge upgrade. It gives you damage, speed, range, basically everything you could want at the cost of just a bit of fire rate. No, wait, it doesn't even remove fire rate. Damn, it's just a flat out fantastic upgrade. So the path here is obviously B hull and torpedo upgrade first. Those are the two priorities. Afterwards, well, there's the sea hull. You need to unlock it to get to the Shimakaze, but you should absolutely not buy it. This sea hull, if you can see, it says it removes one turret and gives you AA. This turret here in the middle, you see there's two in the back, the one in the middle, it removes that one and gives you some AA. Now, that is not worth it. If the small AA is nowhere near worth the cost of losing a third of your DPS. That's basically what it means. You lose a third of your damage with your gun. So absolutely do not take this one. This is a trap. This is a terrible hull upgrade. Do not take it. The range upgrade, this is optional. You can take it if you want. I unlocked it with XP because I consider buying it at some point. But I'm not in a particular hurry. Right now I'm saving money up for the gearing. So if you main these Japanese DDs, then you should take the upgrade. It's a nice upgrade. It helps you fight other DDs because without it your normal range is only 8.6, which is quite bad really. It doesn't add a lot, like 800 meters, but it is a nice upgrade anyways. Excuse me. Next we have the Consumables. I go with the default repair. I don't think the premium repair is necessary here. It's in no way needed in my opinion because you spend so little time fighting, and basically the only time you should need your repair is when you basically get hit by dive bombers or something similar. It's very rarely do you need to repair. When fighting other DDs, sure, but you shouldn't be fighting them for long times anyways because the Kagero is more of a hit and run. The thing is the US DDs and the Soviet DDs, they have very fast rates of fire, so they are good at extended fights. Whereas your reload is actually quite slow. What's the reload? Does it show? Well, it says 7.4 rounds per minute, but if you put in the comparison to Fletcher, it has 20 rounds per minute. So the Kagero is more of a hit and run. You shoot a full broadside, then you weave and dodge, shoot another broadside, and then you try to disengage. So basically you do more damage to them than they do to you, and then you disengage. You don't stay in the extended fights, because in the extended fights the non-stop HE will break all your modules, break everything, and that's not what you want. So no need for a premium repair in my opinion. Premium smoke, obviously. As usual, you can use the small arrow to change from doubloons cost to this. You just want it for the cooldown. You don't use offensive smokes as much as a Japanese DD, but even here, as you saw, I use them. So they are useful, but most of all, you want to be able to escape, and if there's planes harassment and all sort of stuff, it's a lifesaver, get it? You don't need a speed boost. You rarely use the speed boost, and because it increases your detection, so you don't really need it. It's by no means we need it. Next up, we have the upgrades. Well, the first one is obvious. You can choose between gun upgrades, AA upgrades, and torpedo upgrades. Well, that's obvious. You want to reduce the risk of them being destroyed because that resets the cooldown of your torpedoes, and that's awful. And here, you can... this one is also straightforward. You want the torpedo tubes mod. Once again, they turn and angle faster, and they repair faster. It's very simple. I guess the main battery mod... No, I mean the gunfire mod even might be optional if you like a lot of gunplay, but not really, because usually you buy this at a much lower tier when you have shit guns, so you're never gonna... It's just a waste of money getting anything else besides this one. Here we have the 3 million upgrade. I think you unlock this at T8. I think it's T8. No, T9. I know T9. I think you unlock it. And here, this is pretty much a must-have. The torpedo tubes mod 3. It reduces your reload by 15%. But it increases your chance of the torpedo tubes becoming incapacitated. Now, this isn't actually a necessary upgrade, but if you don't take this one, then you need to use your guns a lot more. You need to be engaged more in the fighting, and basically you need to play it more like a US DD. But if you want to play it like a proper Japanese DD, where you focus entirely on your torpedoes, then this torpedo upgrade is a must-have. But if you do that, then of course you need to be much more careful in the battles, because the torpedo tubes are right in the middle, right on between your smokestacks. So any shells landing in the middle have not only a chance of disabling your engine, but also disabling your torpedo tubes. So you need to be careful in fights, because it really sucks when it happens. And for the 4th upgrade, propulsion modification again, because as I've said before, if your steering breaks, you can smoke up, no problem. This one is absolutely useless for a DD, whereas if your engine breaks and you try to smoke up, you will glide out of the smoke. So this is the only one that if it breaks, you have no escapes if your repair is not up. Okay, basically you will probably be using last stand, but you still don't want to suffer this too long because it affects your acceleration so much and your main speed as well. So this is by far the best one, especially before you can get last stand. I prefer the maneuverability because once again this is useless for DD. Your repair is on such a low cooldown that you will have it up to repair, fire and flooding long before they actually run out. You don't need acceleration because you shouldn't be stopping much in smokes like a US DD, so obviously it's going to be maneuverability, avoiding, turning, so forth. And the last one, once again, here we can get, there's a bit of flavor actually available here, because what this target acquisition system modification does, actually, a lot of people misunderstand this, think this increases your detection or something, but it doesn't. It increases your vision. You know that translucent white cone that's on the minimap when you look around? It increases it by 20%. Now why is this useful on a Kagero or on a Shimakaze? Because when you have the 20 kilometer torps, but your vision range is actually something like 16 kilometers, so you can't really lock onto targets until you're within 16 kilometers. With the help of this, you can lock onto targets already at 20 and launch your torpedoes then. But actually hitting something at 20 kilometers is very questionable, and in the end I personally far prefer the detectability buff, because it's much more important than being able to lock onto targets a bit earlier. And especially if you choose, when you get to the Shimakaze, if you choose to go for the 15 kilometer torpedoes that do extra damage, then that vision thing will be entirely useless. So in this case, go for the concealment system model. It's superior. And finally, we get to the captain perks. Now, right now my captain perks are a bit of a clusterfuck, because I planned from the beginning that I will respec the captain once I get to a certain amount of points, but I will start with the must-haves. The must-have is, of course, situation awareness. You need to know if you're detected. You need to know if a plane saw you, if a ship saw you, if you're in your smoke, if not. This is the absolute must-have. This secondary armament, basic firing training, it's flavor. If you want, it's basically 10% the gun DPM. It's flavor, if you want it or not. I took it because I intend to respec and I want to get the most out of my perks right now until I respec. Same with this one. This helps you fight it because it repairs all your modules, engine, steering, guns, torpedoes. So this is more for fighting power, but these two I will respec out of later. The must-have here is the torpedo armament expertise. Unlike the Soviet DDs that use the turrets, you mostly use your torpedoes, so obviously you want the 10% reload. It's a must-have perk. This one, once again, I use it for flavor. I use it to buff me now until I will respec later. And Superintendent, must-have. None of these others even come close to Superintendent. You want the extra smoke, you want the extra speed boost. There's no argument here. I already went over this in my Soviet DD, but this is obvious. And for the rest, in my opinion, this one is very straightforward as well. You don't use your guns enough to warrant the use of Demolition Expert or Advanced Firing Training. So the plain one is obviously pointless. So the Last Stand is a fantastic perk because when stuff breaks, when engine breaks and your repairs on cooldown, you barely notice it with the help of this perk. You don't even have, basically you don't have to blow your cooldown, your repair cooldown on a broken engine or broken steering, because you'll still be able to maneuver with this perk active. So this basically saves your repair for something more important, so you don't have to blow it straight away. So this is a fantastic perk, and in my opinion is a must-have for Japanese DDs. Now for the 5th perk, when I actually get one more captain point, as you see it's quite a long way to get the next one, but when I get the next point I will spec out of Expert Marksman, I will spec out of Basic Fire Training, I will spec out of Basis of Survivability. This will give me 4 points plus the 5th, so I will buy Concealment Expert next. So if you don't want to respec on the way, you just go Situation Awareness, Torpedo Armament, Superintendent, Last Stand, and straight to Concealment Expert. Now, as you can see, if I go back to port, you can see with just the module or the upgrade that reduces my detection, I already have a 6.2 kilometer detection. If I had the 10% perk to add on, that would be another 620 meters away, so like 5.6 kilometer detection, which is absolutely fantastic and something you will probably want on the Shimakaze. Anyway, that was my Kagero overview commentary. I hope you enjoyed it.